Hey everyone, so as I'm sure all of you already know, there has been a somewhat big announcement recently. And no, I'm not going to be talking about my art competition again. I've already made a whole video about that. But seriously, please check it out. The more drawings we get, the better, you know? However, something that we will be discussing today regards the new Bluey video game, which based on what I've seen, is taking on the title of Bluey the video game. Pretty simple, but hey, I think it works. And interestingly, this game is actually coming out pretty soon. At least if you consider about 2 months soon, with the game set to release on November 17th. And yes, if you're wondering, I am planning to make a video or gameplay covering it. Woohoo. But regarding the game itself, and from what we've recently seen in the trailer that just dropped, I'm actually pretty excited. Many fans I've seen online have been acting like this is gonna be the greatest, most stellar masterpiece in existence, and overall, I personally don't have my expectations insanely high, as there are of course, limitations compared to what the show can do, but regardless, I am a little hyped, not gonna lie. On top of that though, I should also mention that online, a lot of sources and people are describing this as the first video game based on the show, which on a technical level isn't entirely true. Outside of the short website games, there was that Bluey Let's Play game we had this year, but if you don't want to count that, I don't really blame you. However, on the subject of the actual game, it seems like we do actually see a lot of what I assume is footage from the actual game. And I have to say that the visuals are actually a lot better than I expected. Of course it's not show quality, but as an interactive video game, I think that's obviously expected. And for the limitations a game obviously has, it still looks surprisingly good. I was not expecting the characters to keep their 2D look, but I think it works a lot better than if they were entirely 3D, as the characters really weren't designed for such. With that said though, the game does appear to use 3D for a lot of other stuff, like certain props or the actual settings of the game. And I think that aspect also works surprisingly well, as in my opinion, things such as the 3D settings do give a better sense of immersion and allow you to do more, but keeping a lot of the 2D designs does help retain a huge part of the show's charm. And overall, I think it's a pretty good usage of both. Also, can we talk about how smooth the animation is? The characters all move in like 60 FPS or something, which is kinda cursed but so satisfying at the same time. Outside of the graphics though, I have to admit that I'm also curious about the other aspects of the game, as according to what we've been hearing, the game is set to have an actual plot, with the family playing various familiar games, and going on some kind of treasure hunt related to Bandit and his brothers, visiting different locations throughout the show. Like, in the trailer, there's this one scene where they're at the beach, and another one where they're playing Keepy Uppy and Magic Xylophone. And overall, I think adding an original story was also a pretty good call, as similar to Bluey's Big Play, another adaptation of the show, it can excite fans by letting them recreate famous moments in the show, but introduce something new to keep players interested. Also, another interesting aspect I noticed was that you can choose to play any character in the Healer family, the main ones at least. I'm not sure if Rad and Mort are options, although they do make appearances. And of course, there's also Chattermax, who for some reason kind of looks like Rusty in this one scene. But with that said, players can choose between Bluey, Bingo, Chili, and Bandit. Y'all already know which one I'm gonna represent, but it is a nice feature, and I am kinda curious if it'll affect how the story goes, or if each one will have different mechanics. Like maybe Bandit can have extra strength, while Bingo has magical powers or something. I personally doubt they will go that far, but knowing Bluey's high standards, I wouldn't be completely surprised. And speaking of high standards, I should also mention that they did get the original voice actors for this game, which I think shows that they are taking this pretty seriously.
Got lots of fun stuff planned. You're going to play with Muffin at the park, see Granddad, and there's a trip to the beach.
And while I'll admit that not all Bluey related items are perfect, like another familiar game I previously mentioned, it is really nice to see actual people from the show get involved and really help the game reach its potential. But with that said, those are just some of my quick thoughts on the upcoming Bluey video game. Of course, the game isn't actually out yet, so my views may or may not change. But overall, I am genuinely excited and curious to see where this goes, and I think it could actually be a lot of fun. Now I have to admit though, I don't own a console myself for gaming, but my brother does have a Nintendo Switch, so I might just have to take his for a couple days. Don't tell him I said that though. However, jokes aside, I'm curious to hear what you all think. Are you gonna be first in line to buy this on opening day, or are you a bit skeptical about the hype? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and until next time, my name's Hideaki, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye everyone! So, for today's art of the day, we have this piece by user Gilhens from Twitter. I probably pronounced that completely wrong, but they recently drew me this hilarious drawing of a Hideaki plush, along with a sick background. Special thanks to them.